My take from the Packers is they had the most it just isn't our day type of game I've seen in the playoffs in a while, where, yes, Jordan Love did not play good, but it was like everything went wrong for them. The injuries, the types of injuries to the players, to the guys they tried to fill in for your injured linemen. Like, dear God, they couldn't catch a break. Like, none. Sucked.
No. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the stats, I was just trying to record the post game after or right before this. If you look at the stats, I mean, the stats are nearly identical between the Packers and the Eagles. The biggest difference, the Eagles have more rushing yards, but the biggest difference is turnovers.
Yeah,
that literally just and injuries. By the end of it, we were down 3 wide receivers. We were down linemen. Devontae Wyatt went out in that game. Elton Jenkins went out in that game, and they still hung it. The fact that with 3 turnovers, we had a fumble on the freaking return. We had a fumble and 2 interceptions, and it was 10-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
Like the defense, they had one bad drive where Goddard was just stiff-arming Carrington Valentine the entire way.
Not for you guys, but for just football fans, that play was incredible.
Yeah, it was it was nuts. So they had like one bad drive, but ultimately the defense was so damn good in that game. They allowed the offense multiple opportunities, and they just couldn't get it going. Whether it was the multiple interceptions thrown by Jordan Love, whether it was the fumble, whether it was the missed field goal. Yeah, there was just a lack of consistency, unfortunately. And by the end of that game, man, it was frustrating. And even if the Packers wind up winning that game, good God, we're limping into Detroit.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make me feel any better. The Packers lost 7 games this season, and 6 of them were to the same team twice. We got swept by the Vikings, we got swept by the Lions, and we got swept by the Eagles. So,
hey, at least you're consistent.
At least we're consistent. Yeah, and I mean, like, that's obviously one of the things you wanted to get better at, because the Packers regressed within the division. Jordan Love regressed from last season, but helped. So did CJ Stroud. I mean, it's a matter of you don't throw it all at Jordan Love's feet, but he has to play better. LaFleur has to coach better. You potentially look at a change maybe at offensive coordinator, but Halfley coming in, the free agents that we got, and McKinney and Josh Jacobs played his ass off yesterday. Like that one run where they're dragging him by his jersey and he's still getting down to the 1-yard line.
Dude, that run was so nice. It was so nice.
And Jacobs was he was not happy after that, saying that he's going to try to get some people over here. Please, Max Crosby, please. But yeah, just a disappointing day for the Packers.
Literally, that's just the only person you want from the Raiders.
Yep,
that he knows that he played with.
Yeah, exactly. That's who you want. But yeah, man, it was a tough game. It was definitely a tough game, and it's just frustrating because they weren't blown out. They were in that game for such a long time. And yeah, I mean, again, you got to give credit to the Eagles too, because they have the number 1 passing defense, right? But there was opportunities there, and unfortunately, self-inflicted mistakes and turnovers, wind up costing them the game against a good team. So yeah,
yeah. Jordan Love, just it was not his day. The first pick by Darius Slay, I was just rewatching it this morning, and Slay's in perfect coverage. So first of all, the coverage is great. I'm not sure why Love's throwing there when Slay is just blanketing. I think it was Wicks. And as he turns around, it's like the ball just fell right into Slay's arm right here. Like he didn't even have to try to catch it. It just went whoop.
It was a little bit too much, like inside, right?
Because it needed to be out to give Wicks a chance there.
Exactly.
And then the one to Zach Bond was really bad. Him and Kraft I don't know if they weren't on the same page on that play or.
So LaFleur and Love talked about that in the post-game press conference. And basically they said that was a schematic issue. So it was basically that it was the right call, they said, but Bond came back into the window and Love just didn't see him. And he threw it where he thought Tucker Kraft was going to be.
Yeah.
Tucker Kraft got chipped on that too. So he wound up tripping on that play. But yeah, again, they have the number 1 passing defense for a reason, man. And again, like Jordan Love, again, has to see that guy. But yeah, unfortunately, didn't.
If this were a hot take show, Undisputed or First Take, Undisputed because I offer you $1.5 million for intercourse. We'll go with Undisputed here. The questions I would be asking you would be, is Matt LaFleur on the hot seat now, Tom, after that coaching performance? And did the Packers overpay Jordan Love prematurely? We answer after the break.
Penis pills. That's what I just imagine as the sponsors there.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think like calling into question LaFleur's play calling, this is something that Packers fans, including myself, have called into question a few times. And you think maybe with a better offensive coordinator and maybe not having play calling duties could change things here. Again, it's tough to judge on this game because of all the like by the second half, man. Like who's Jordan Love even throwing the ball to? I was about to go in as wide receiver, but yeah, good.
I think it's because I feel like Broncos fans kind of have the same thought crossing their brain this morning about, play calling. And you've got two great play callers, I think, in LaFleur and Sean Payton you're talking about. And I think it's more just about continuing to, develop and evolve as a play caller with young quarterbacks. And LaFleur and Rodgers were great together, and part of that's because Rodgers obviously kind of adjusted and bought into the way that LaFleur wanted to run the offense. But what is so hard to understate is the experience of a veteran QB. When you have a good play called, but something breaks down in the play, and the veteran quarterback realizes it and adapts on the fly. And that just takes time with guys like Love, with Bo Nix, and you can have the best play called up sometimes, and because of their inexperience, it might not work. So I think it's more about just being patient and letting those guys develop versus like just blaming, your offensive coach for two not great days either way.
This is what I was talking about before, dude. Like, again, even with 4 turnovers, first downs, near identical. Packers beat them out there. Third down efficiency. Packers were 7 for 13. Eagles were 2 for 11. Again, defense played great. Almost the same amount of plays. Literally, Packers got more yards than 12 yards of them. Same exact amount of drives. Yards per play, 0.1 difference. Like, this here, 169 to 107 rushing yards. That's like a big difference. Penalties, good God, the penalties. Oh, the penalties were so effing frustrating, dude. But ultimately, that's the game. And then this is time possession. Literally, about a minute difference.
Oh, that's nice.
This is where it was the end day. And again, that's what I mean. The defense played more than well enough to keep them in that game. It just came down to turnovers.
Time of possession.
Oh,
the
God.
Bills possessed the ball for 41 minutes.
Yep.